All right, what is up, my peeps? Joshua Smith here with another GSD Mode podcast weekly real estate tip. And today I'm here to talk to you about how to close one or more deals every single month consistently inside your real estate business here in 2025. And look, I know a lot of the content that I create here on the podcast is about how to grow and scale big mega teams. But look, the path to creating a big mega team is like you got to start somewhere. We all start at the same place, like in order to get to. And I get so many of my agents that are like, "Oh, Josh, I want to, close 48 deals in the next 12 months. I want to get to the point where I'm popping a deal, deal a week." I'm like, "Okay, cool." But just like a baby's got to crawl before it walks, walks before it runs. Like we got to get you to one deal, close consistently every month, before we can get you to one deal consistently every single week. Then from there, if you are a team leader or brokerage owner, how you go out there and continue to grow and scale and get to the point where you are closing 4, 5, 600,000 homes a year, whatever, is getting our agents at that run rate where they're able to start popping a deal a month consistently on their own and then taking it from the next level. So getting that deal a month consistently is so imperative, so important. Number one, it allows us to get a little bit of breathing room when we start making some, decent money in this business, especially with what our average commissions are right now. It's like gets you in that six-figure plus annual range, at least in most markets, right? But then if you can learn how to get one deal consistently every single month, it is so easy then to go to 2 a month, 3 a month, 4 a month. Yeah, right. So it's that consistency over time, and the things that you must master to get one deal consistently every single month will massively help you then get to 2 a month, 3 a month, 4 a month. The foundational items I'm going to talk about today here will serve you on that journey, on that process. And look, I know that a lot of agents are out there struggling. That might be you that's listening to this podcast. According to NAR, it's something crazy like 70% of realtors haven't closed a single transaction in the last 12 plus months. So it's difficult times out there. It's but that's no excuse to not be having your best year yet. We just got to operate slightly differently. All the low hanging fruit's not there. Transaction volume, at least here in the U.S., has gotten cut down by 40+%. Overall throughout that. So things have definitely changed. Okay, so I want to jump into, and I got a bunch of different points I'm going to cover with you here today. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different things that I'm going to cover with you here and break these down because I want to create context. Because the last thing I ever want to have any of you do, is invest your busy time out of your life, away from your business, away from your families, to get shallow BS information here on the podcast. I want to make sure that you can watch or listen to this, have the information that you need to start executing on so you can go out there and start making your goals a reality. Now, real quick, before I jump into this, if you are a real estate agent, team leader, brokerage owner, which all of you should be if you're watching or listening to this podcast, and you are interested in learning more about partnering with me at EXP, where you get 100% full free access to all my coaching, training, mentorship, as well as my business partner, Mike Sherrard, who's the best in the world, hands down, at AI, social media, YouTube. You get 100% free access to all of our coaching and training. I'm not saying partner like teaming up and us being a team. I'm saying you get full access for free at no additional cost to all of our coaching, all of our mentorship, where we're able to support you from behind the scenes and growing your own real estate business. That's something that you have interest in learning more about. There's going to be a link below in the show notes or the description, depending on if you're watching this or listening to this, but there's going to be a link below where you can schedule a 100% confidential, 100% zero pressure Zoom call with me personally. It's going to be a quick 30-minute Zoom call where I'm going to break down, hey, here's everything that we do. Here's how we work. Here's how we operate as far as a brokerage, but then also all the things that we provide in addition to the brokerage with all of our coaching, mentorship, training to ensure that you're accomplishing and nailing your real estate goals. And like I said, everything I do is zero pressure. So I'm not going to push you. I'm not going to recruit you. I'm not going to high pressure you. Just, hey, here's everything that we got. Answer any questions that you got. If you think that this is a great fit for you, awesome. If not, that's okay too. We can still be friends. You have my word on that. Okay, so let's just jump on in. Now, the first thing I want to talk to you about real quick here, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. This isn't going to be a fast growing, scaling thing. And sometimes it can be, but it's not going to be something I'm going to personally rely on to go out there and start scaling my business really fast, at least getting to a deal a month. Let's just say I'm a struggling real estate agent. I'm popping 3 deals a month, or I get asked all the time of Josh, like if you were to relocate to a new market, new city, had no money, starting over, didn't know anybody, like what would you do to start growing and scaling? This is kind of more of a long game. This wouldn't be my primary immediate focus, but it's something that we don't want to ever neglect, which is your sphere of influence, past client, repeat referral business, right? That ends up being the foundation where, like one of my agent partners, she's on track to do 70 deals this year, working part-time, but she's done such a brilliant job at building up an amazing sphere of influence, amazing past client base, where the vast majority of that business is just, repeat referral business. She's not having to do, open houses or, generating leads or lead follow-up or any of that BS. It just becomes that future gold. So making sure that you are not neglecting this, that you've got a strategy plan in place for your sphere of influence. And I have lots of other podcasts that I've created on sphere of influence, on past clients, on repeat referral business. So if you don't know how to do that, go reference those. So we don't want to drop the ball on that. Something like 88% of buyers and sellers surveyed after the fact by NAR said they love their realtor, would absolutely use their real estate agent again, but only 11% ever do a repeat transaction with them. And yeah, is there a small percentage of those that maybe their brother or sister or friend got in the real estate business? Sure. But the vast majority of those, the reason they didn't do a repeat transaction is not because their agent did a crappier job over time in their head. No, it's because they forgot who the hell their agent was. Their agent, like so many in this industry, are so focused on the next deal, the next deal, the next deal, the next deal, that they neglect that past client repeat referral business. They neglect all that future gold. You don't want to make that mistake. It will be one of the most costly mistakes you can ever make long term. So make sure that you got that dialed in. Now, then from there, everything else I want to cover, I just want to hit on that point because that's essential. I don't want to leave that out. Then from there, I'm going to take it from a point of, okay, man, you're brand new at this, or you just relocated to a new city, new state, or maybe you're doing this a while, but your business is down. You're only popping 4 deals a year. Maybe that is coming through past client repeat referral business, but you want to get to the point where you're closing one deal every single month consistently like clockwork. You're not doing this roller coaster up and down BS that the vast majority of our industry does, right? One consistent deal. And again, like I said at the beginning of this podcast, if you can get to one consistent deal every single month, the foundations that you have to have in place to do that then are the foundations that are going to make it easy to scale to 2 a month, 3 a month, 4 months. So it all starts with getting to you to one consistent deal every single month. Like one of my agent partners that's been with me since he was fresh out of school, he's on track to like 400 units this year. Well, put him on the same path. Like, hey, dude, like before we get you to closing, 4 a week or, now 30, 40 a month, right? Like we got to get you at one consistent per month, right? Okay, so the first thing is to identify one new client acquisition strategy. Now, this is separate from what I said just a moment ago with your past client sphere of influence. Like that's the one commonality that we're all going to have in place. Then from there, now we're talking about new client acquisition, new customers that aren't aware of you, don't know who you are, right? That we can go out there and get business with and get business from. So we want to identify one new client acquisition strategy and only one. Like unless you're doing a ton of deals, right? You have no business of doing more than one in my experience, my opinion, right? Less is more. When you do lesser at things, you can truly master them. You can do them with more focus, more energy, more attention. You can do more of them and get damn good at the skill set, the process. To do 12 deals a year, or even 48 deals a year, like you just need one thing in addition to your past client sphere of influence. I'm going to be enough on that, right? So we're just talking about new client acquisition. So I want you to identify one thing. Now, how do we identify that one thing that we're going to focus on? There's some, we got to break this down. We got to kind of peel back the onion layers. So the first thing I want you to look at is timeline. How quickly do you need to be getting to your deal a month? And the reason why this is so important, I get a lot of real estate agents reaching out to me that are struggling or that are new, that are like, hey, Josh, I want to be doing a deal a month or 2 deals a month or whatever that number is. And I want to grow my business through YouTube. I'm like, okay, great. YouTube is absolutely amazing. Probably the highest converting, best overall long-term lead source I've ever seen in my life. It's as hot of a lead source as past client repeat referral business. Like it is just easy money. When people start reaching out to you. But then I'll tell them, I'll ask them, well, how quick can you go, or how long can you go without a paycheck? Well, 4 months. Okay. So here's the conundrum. YouTube is a science in its own. So if you do everything right, don't make one mistake, which is hard enough as it is. Like you got to know what the hell you're doing with YouTube, right? But if you do everything right, don't make one mistake. On average, it's going to be 9 to 12 months before you start seeing consistent revenue coming from that. Now you might get some onesies and twosies, but we're talking about consistent business here. So we got to identify your timeline. So if you need quick business, when I say quick business, nothing happens fast in real estate. It's not like selling supplements or t-shirts where I can run ads and get sales today, right? Like we're doing now activities, that are going to result in a paycheck in, 60 days, 90 days, 120 days, right? That's going to be more prospecting based activities like open houses or, door knocking, cold calling. So we got to identify your timeline. That then it can help decipher which of the one things that you're going to go out there and choose. Second thing that you want to take into account is your market, right? Now people will sit there and say, and I've heard this throughout my whole entire career, and it's 99% true. Now, real estate doesn't matter what market that you're in. However, when it comes down to niched strategies, different things work differently. Different things work better in different markets, right? So like what we talked about YouTube before. YouTube works amazing in reload markets. But if you're not in a reload market, it'll still work. It's just not going to work nearly as well. Right? So, or let's just say, okay, I'm going after investors that we got, rents are coming down, prices are coming down, whole costs are going up. Well, yeah, that's true for markets like Arizona, Texas, California, Florida. But maybe that's not true. I'm just going to throw out a state. I don't know if it's true or not, but maybe that's not true for New Hampshire, Connecticut. Maybe they're still, rents are going up, prices are going up. So maybe, so we got to like every market, there can be different niches that are converting better for different reasons in different markets. So we got to take your market into account. Talking with an agent partner of mine the other day who is in a very rural market, like everything's like 20 plus acres. Like open houses in her market just don't have the same effect that open houses in my market, where most homes are tract subdivisions. Like you're essentially like on your neighbor's lots, like, tiny little lots, and, they stack in, 1,000 homes in this one subdivision, right? Like things work different in different markets. So we got to look at, okay, what's your timeline? What's your specific market? Then we got to look at, okay, skill set, right? And when I talk about skill set, you know, um, like, okay, like this is, what are your natural skill sets? What are you attracted to? A question I always ask agents is, like, how do you, like, what draws you to this thing? Like, what excites you? What, like, 'cause, like some agents I talk to, and they're like, hey, Josh, to sit here on this phone, cold calling, getting yelled at and getting rejected for 3 hours a day does not sound like fun to me. But I love networking. I love people. I love being face to face, right? I love online. I love, right? So we got to look at, the more that you are attracted to something, the more that you are drawn to something, because we are blessed to be in an industry where there's 1,000 ways to create success. Yeah, there's so many different things that we can be doing out there for this one thing. So why do something that you like? If cold calling was the only play that we had, yeah, I would do it all day long. But the nice thing is there's 999 plus other things I can be doing to grow a business that does align with my strengths. So an example with this, like I'm a hardcore introvert. So it doesn't mean that I couldn't have success with networking, but I know it just drains my batteries. I don't enjoy it. I don't love it. I don't, so I decided to grow my business not through networking. Now, other people are different. Some people love, people love, are massive extroverts. They do so well in that environment. It charges up their batteries. Okay, they might want to do networking. Right. So, looking at, what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, and playing those things out from that. Then we want to look at, okay, do you want to go after buyers or sellers? Right. Or to kind of have something like an open house where if you do them right, you can get, a good chunk of sellers and buyers, from that thing. So as we start chunking those things down, these are the questions I start asking and looking at when it comes to coming up with that one new client acquisition strategy. So we want to just identify one thing that you're going to execute on, you're going to execute brilliantly on, you're going to execute consistently on, and you're going to truly master that thing. Okay. So then from there, once you've identified that one thing, whether it's open house, like whatever it is, doesn't matter what it is, right? But we want to identify that one thing. Then from there, we want to break down, okay, what's the best strategy for that thing for me to create success with that thing, right? So what is strategy? Strategy is just your overall effective plan. And here's the brilliant thing about real estate is there's been so many thousands of others before us that have created success with the thing that we are trying to do. So we don't need to reinvent the wheel. First thing I always do when I identify a thing I'm going to start doing for lead gen, whatever is, I'm like, okay, who's crushed it with this? Who's the best at this, or who's amazing at this that I want to emulate their success? And let me go find out and identify exactly what their strategy plan is, what their effective plan is for this. So an example of this, and again, I'm not saying to do open houses, but I get so many people that'll be like, oh, I've tried open houses, they don't work. I'm like, oh, that's weird. Like even in my own market, I'll get people like, oh, I do open houses, but I only get like 3 people through. I'm like, that's weird. We get like 20 plus people through open houses. But I know the 6 strategic steps, property selection, pre-marketing, proper setup, proper sign-in protocols, proper touring protocols, how to ask for the appointment at the end of that tour, proper follow-up protocols. Like I know all of the strategy plan for that thing to make sure that I'm converting at a high level with that thing and having success with that thing. So you can identify the thing, but if you're doing the thing in a shitty manner, output equals input, right? So your input to the thing is what's going to gear your output, right? So hopefully that makes sense. So you got to make sure that you do the thing, but you're doing the thing with the right frequency, the right consistency, and in the right way. And here's what I can promise you is if you're not having success with a thing, it's not the thing, it's you. It's your approach to the thing. I know it's a hard pill to swallow. I'm not saying it to be a jerk. I'm saying it because I care about you, right? Like I want you to understand that. And the more that you can take 100% responsibility and ownership of this thing, then that we know that, okay, we're the problem, but we're also the solution. We can do this thing better. All right. So then when it comes to your overall strategy plan with this thing, again, that's just your overall effective plan. I want you to be thinking about from lead inception all the way through, boom, they become a client. Because the vast majority of realtors that I meet, and I'm guessing you as well, like once you have a client, like you're really good at servicing them. You're really good at finding them a home, negotiating contracts, getting across the finish line from there. Got to be good at all those things too. If you haven't mastered those things, like you got to master those things too. But what I see most people fault on is their inability to convert leads into customers. Yeah, right. So want to be mastering. So when we're coming up with a strategy plan, not just what do I got to do to generate the lead, because I've met very few in this industry that have ever had a lead gen problem. The bigger underlying problem as we start kind of peeling back the onion layers here is their inability to convert that lead into an appointment. So we want to look at that of, okay, what are you doing to generate the lead? That's part of the strategy plan. Then from the second I've got the lead, I've offered something of value in exchange for their contact information. Now they're in my CRM, now they're in my database. What is the exact best proven follow-up protocol that I must follow to maximize conversions and convert them into an appointment? Then, okay, what's my appointment confirmation process to get them to show up, and then making sure you're mastering your buyer consultations or listing presentations so you're maximizing conversions to get them from, again, inception of lead until now, boom, they become a client. So take all those things into an account. Okay, then I want you to identify, okay, what skills must you master to go out there and have the highest success with this thing, right? So every different thing can acquire a different skill set. YouTube videos require a different skill set than TikTok, than Instagram Reels, than open houses is different than cold calling, or Zillow or Facebook leads, or like each one can require a different skill set. So what are the skills that you need to hone in, that you need to master over time? Want to identify those and then get to work on mastering those so you can optimize success with this thing. And this is why I said earlier, less is more. What I see so many, especially right now, because everybody's like, oh, dude, I know that the market's down, transaction volume's down. I got to do more things. So they start doing 8 things. They're doing 8 things all half-assed, and they're just still struggling and wasting time. And, right? Like, we don't want to make that mistake. Again, just get damn good, amazing. To make multiple 6 figures a year. It's just one thing, right? So what are the skills that you need to identify, the skills you need to master, and then get to work at mastering those skills. Okay, so then from there you want to identify, okay, like what's the amount of effort that I need to with this thing to hit my target, hit my goal. So then you can come up with the right schedule, daily and weekly and monthly, to make sure that you are executing on the right way with the right things. The other things I talked about is usually the underlying problem, but there's sometimes where the problem is it's like, okay, they got the right thing, they're doing the right thing in the right way, they're just not doing enough of it. Yeah, right. So you got to make sure that you are. So let's just say, hey, I want to close 2 deals a month through open houses. Okay, I know I need 20 leads coming in from my open houses. Okay, am I doing enough open houses to get that lead flow? And then assuming I have the right strategy plan, all the those things that we talked about already, in place to go out there and have success with this. So we've got to make sure we're also taking the right amount of effort, and we got the right schedule plan in place to make sure that we're maximizing conversions. Then from there, now, because okay, all those things are going to help you, have success with popping deals. But now we're talking about consistency with popping those deals. So then with consistency, we need to make sure that we got your processes and systems in place. So your processes are just I want you to document what's the step-by-step actions that I need to do to have success with this thing. So here's step 1, here's step 2, here's step 3. And again, from what you're doing to the activity to generate the lead all the way through to they become a client. Like, what are those steps? That's all process is, right? Think of a process is the recipe. And then the system is the cookbook. So we create all our processes. So we're doing the same things each way, same time over and over and over. Then we put those processes inside of a system. The system ensures that the processes are easy to be found, that are not missed. Everything's done the same way each and every time. We're able to do them in the most effective and efficient manner. If you want predictability, effectiveness, and efficiency in your business, like you need systems and processes, right? And they don't need to be fancy. They don't need to be some piece of tech. These can be just friggin' spreadsheets, Word documents, checklists, whiteboards. Now your most important CRM day to day in your business is going to be your CRM. So I encourage you to get that set up, get that categorized, get that organized. So like an example, I get a lead depending on what lead source is. Let's say I get an open house lead. Okay, I just click 2 buttons, right? So I click one button, it's going to put them on my 1,000-day email text strip campaign. Click another button, it's going to remind me of exactly when I need to do my calls. So I just log in every day. It tells me, hey, here's the people that you got to call. So I never forget, with those things. Or I set a buyer consultation with them and they no show. I'd have to click a button, 20 cues off a 26-day, 12-touch follow-up protocol, which is going to automatically email them 6 times, automatically task me to call them 6 times in the next 26 days to rebook that appointment. Now, if I can't rebook that appointment after 26 days, it just puts them in my regular lead follow-up, flow plan, right? Then the last thing here, well, there's 2 last things, but we got to make sure that we track. right? The only way to create predictability inside your business is to track and know your numbers. So this way you know your overall conversion rates, you know how much energy and effort. So I want to track how many leads I'm generating per, activity that I'm doing with this lead source. Then from there, not just a lead, how much energy and effort does it take to convert that lead into a closing? So how many reach outs, how many conversations, how many appointments set, appointment conductions, clients, closings. So not only does that allow you to create, predictability, so you know exactly what you got to be doing every day. Hey, here's exactly how many activities I got to do. Here's how many reach outs. Here's how many conversations I got to do on a daily basis to hit my target. But then it also shows you area of opportunity to prove upon on your skill set. So let's say as an example, your appointment set to show rate is 50%, which is industry average. Well, that's crap, right? We don't want to do anything on averages. The average realtor has not closed a deal in over 12 months, right? So I want that at 75% or greater. And there's just 4 quick, easy things that you got to do, to go out there and get that from 50% to 75%. But that shows us where that bottleneck is. If you're not tracking your numbers, it's like going to the doctor and saying, hey, doc, I want you to fix me, but you're not allowed to run any tests. So then they're like, okay, well, I guess here's 50 pills. Hopefully one of these works, but one does work. We're not going to know which one works. So we got to be able to know, have that predictability inside your business. And then the last thing is just making sure you're staying consistent. Consistency over time, doing the right actions in the right way, with the right consistency over time is what delivers results. Too many people give up way too early. I'm sure most of you have read Think and Grow Rich, which is a great book to read. I highly encourage you if you haven't read it. But there's a story in there which is about stopping 3 feet short of gold. There's this owner of this land, this gold mining, plant, and they're mining for gold. They thought that they had the right the right land to strike the gold. They're digging, couldn't find it. Well, then they sold it. Now the people they sold it to were these engineers that knew how to do the right test to see where the gold was at. They realized that these people just stopped 3 feet short of gold and lost insane amounts of money. So most people quit and abandon things too quickly. I see it all the time. Oh, I did this. Well, how long did you do it for? Oh, 90 days. Okay, no, dude, like you got to commit to the long haul for this stuff. And if you do that, like you are going to see the fruits of the labors. Now, everything, as we talked about earlier, has different timelines. Okay, if I'm doing open houses for 90 days, and I don't have any customers, any buyer broker agreements or listing agreements signed in 90 days, there's probably a problem. But if I'm doing Facebook leads or, paid Facebook leads or paid Google pay per click, it can take 9 to 12 months before you get a customer on average. So you got to make sure whatever that thing is that you're doing, that you understand what the average timeline is from, lead inception to customer to closing. So you're giving yourself the ample amount of time to really focus on this stuff and get good at this stuff and stay consistent with it. So those are the processes, those are the steps to making sure you are closing one deal consistently every single month. I know it's not the fun, sexy stuff, but it's not the fun, sexy stuff that leads to success. Yeah, right. It's the kind of the boring, mundane, tedious stuff that lead to success. And that's what nobody likes to talk about. Never in my career did they say, Josh, the number one secret to creating success, outside of course, you got to put in the work, you got to have hard work ethic, whatever. But like even deeper than that is like you got to have the ability to push through boredom. And it's so damn true. So hopefully this is helpful. And again, if you want to learn more about partnering with me at EXP, where you get 100% full free access to all my coaching, all my training, all my mentorship, as well as my business partner, Mike Shard, who's the best in the world, hands down at AI, social media, YouTube. The reason why I partnered with him is I looked at, okay, like what am I damn good at? Well, I'm really good at systems, processes, scaling businesses. If you're at one, 0 deals, want to get to 1 deal a month, and 2 deals a month, 3 deals a month, 4 deals a month, 5 deals a month. We want to build a mega team. Like I'm really good at systems, processes, scaling real estate businesses, really good at traditional style business, really good also at paid online lead gen. But if you came to me and were like, Josh, I want to grow $1 million a year business through TikTok, I'd be guessing. Yeah, right. So I found the best person in the world that their strengths are my weaknesses and vice versa. So now when you put together his coaching with my coaching, now I have the most effective complete coaching program that exists in the industry that you get 100% free access to. So if you want to learn more about what this partnership would look like, there's going to be a link below in the description of the show notes where you can schedule a 100% confidential, 100% zero pressure Zoom call with me. It's going to be with you and I personally. And on that call, I'm going to walk you through, hey, here's everything that we do. Here's how we work. Here's how we operate. Here's all the different coaching, training systems, tools, support that we provide to ensure that you are hitting your real estate goals. You, regardless of what level that you're at, whether you're new, seasoned agent, team leader, brokerage owner, here's what we can provide you and your agents to ensure that you and your agents are having success. Answer any questions that you have in that call. If you think it's a fit for you, great. If not, that's okay too. We can still be friends. You have my word on that. Everything I do is zero pressure. So if that's something you want to do, there's going to be a link below. Appreciate you guys watching or listening to this. Keep crushing, keep kicking ass, and I will see you next time. Peace.